updates, the future vision, and what I would like to do for the most part, and where I am in my life now. So, everything for me is basically completely reset. I'm at square one. Even I've moved out. I've moved into a new place. Uh, my family, there's been very many radical changes where it's really like the foundation has completely been shattered, and now it's square one. Finding a new job, finding a new everything. Um, But not only that, it's just in general what's going on here on my channel. And the reason I picked up the camera is because I was reflecting on. I made a video this morning about a friend of mine who phoned me up because I was posting how I was posting how I don't know who I want to be, and like having like an identity crisis. And he just phoned me up, and we were talking about how I was struggling like mentally with somewhat like depression, and like, just not wanting to get up, being lazy, and just having a pity party, as I can't remember his name, who calls it. I was watching a podcast, like a 4K podcast with David Goggins. I've been getting into him recently. He seems quite good, and this is what I'm focusing on a lot more now. So my friend phoned me up, and I was like, yeah, thank you, man. He like pulled me out of the rut, and many of my friends do that. So that was Chris Swift. He's cool. I've done a podcast with him that's on my Instagram and on my main channel, when it's going to be back up in March, because YouTube's terminated it for now. And then another friend of mine, Dan Jefferson, who I've done videos with as well, he's done the same thing. Before I was in another like depressive episode, as I have quite frequently, and he quoted something from Eckhart Tolle, where he's like, and try this for yourself. If you're feeling down, basically you just accept it. So if you accept that the feelings that you're feeling are okay, it kind of moves it forward one step automatically. And it's weird because it like you resist it and like tell yourself that you shouldn't be feeling what you're feeling. But if you just allow it, if you resist it, it can it's like its own. It's okay. You're not going to feel good all the time. Just accept it and move forward. But anyway, that's what I'm saying is. These are two friends of mine, and they're all on the personal development for the most part, and somewhat on the spirituality, some of them. And I've said this before, but that's just them two, and then I've got obviously many other friends these days. I came really like a year ago. I had like no mates, not really. When I first went onto this spirituality and this personal development, I lost like everyone in terms of, because none of my mates were about that, and I was a lone wolf for like over a year, like the majority of my channel, like, because I started it at the end of 2021, and then until about 3 months ago, so like the end of 2022, for about a year, I was just like, nobody was on what I was on. But slowly, like, people started coming back to me, like someone who I used to go to school with, someone who used to just chill on the streets with me smoking weed and that. It's like they all hear about me on social media, and they're like, yeah, I know what you're on about, and they start coming back slowly. So, and there's a lot of them, and them like phoning me up and like giving me some advice and vice versa is really powerful. So I realised within that one of my main things is this team of especially young lads mainly, and obviously I've got the Discord and the group chat on Snapchat and things, and just seeing these people who are all about developing themselves and bettering their lives. It really makes me feel good to be somewhat at the centre, and to be bringing people together, and to be connecting the dots. And so, in short, I just want to see my people grow. I want to expand this kind of cult of young men. It's like how Hamza has it. If you see Hamza, yeah, he's on the street. He has something called Fight Club, and he literally meets up with 30, 40 young men just on the streets of Dubai at the minute. And they all just spar each other and fight. And they're all on the same thing. They all watch the same content. They all resonate with the same message. And there's something very powerful about that. And then it gets deeper into, because I made a video called like, I need to talk to Hamza immediately. It was somewhat delusional. I mean, maybe not, but I just what my plan was, and my idea was that basically Hamza has like this cult of young men that's like in the millions, and if I were to like awaken Hamza and his tribe to the truth of psychedelia, shamanism, and ancient medicines and spirituality, then this could basically be like the revolution, because there's such like a cult of personal development on YouTube now in like at such a high number, that if they were to, because like there's the personal development, like the practical shit, David Goggins, Joe Rogan, Better Ideas, fucking Hamza, you know, the list goes on. I know a lot more. Denmo, some that I don't know the names of exactly, but yeah, there's fucking loads of them, and I'm familiar with most of them. That if I were to get them to acknowledge the legitimacy of psychedelia, that this could literally be like, you give them this, and then they take the idea to the masses, and this would like literally be like the mass awakening. But yeah, I don't know why I said that. But yeah, what I'm saying is that I want to see my people grow ultimately. That's one of my main things. But then of course I'm saying that, and as I've started to acknowledge more recently, ignore my kitchen. I know it's a fucking mess, but this is what I'm getting on. Is see here I'm talking all this shit, yeah, about the mass awakening, and then meanwhile in the background this has been like that, and it's been like that from day one for my whole channel. And not just that, like, I mean, I've got kicked out of my flat like 3 times for taking mushrooms and like disrespecting my father. He was like, "Yeah, you can live here, just don't take mushrooms." And I lived there alone anyway, but it was in his name, and I disrespected the agreement. So it's things like that that in the background of my life the whole time. Like I've been on about like the mass awakening and all this, but why? But I can't say that if myself as a role model is just like lazy and literally fearful of discomfort and like feminine, not masculine really at all. I mean, I don't know. It's difficult with the idea of masculinity, but I definitely want to cultivate a stronger physique and just be better at life in general. So what I'm saying ultimately is the goal is now is my own development and documenting this. And I know I've said this from day one, but like, you know, the history of my channel, if you've been following me, I started the channel and I basically went full-blown Connor Murphy mode, full-blown actualize.org mode, and it's all like interconnected, that kind of intellectual world, and I got sucked into like psychedelic insanity, and I feel like I'm kind of like, I'm not done with it, but it's like, I don't like, yeah, I can have an awakening on mushrooms, because here's what other spirituality in that is like, yes, the spirituality is great, but it depends what you want, because the way they speak it, like the Tao Te Ching, or the Book of the Way, one of the favourite pages of that is, if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient master says, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. Please excuse my dog. Basically, what she does, you hear this noise in the background the whole time, is she just kicks the ball under here, non-stop, all day, and then makes you get it out, don't you? Where is it? Where is it, baby? There it is. And then she gets it, and she's like a magnet to it immediately. And then, in a minute, she'll do it again. I think she's just trying to get attention. So what this is saying, ultimately, is like ultimate serenity is the key. Like if you want to be full, let yourself be, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's basically, it's like counterintuitive, but it is truth. Like, if to gain everything, let everything go, because then if you surrender, like I said in my Heaven on Earth video, it was like a short on my TikTok, I said that instead of, if you want to achieve heaven on earth, then instead of pursuing and fulfilling your desires, you go within and deconstruct and observe the very mechanism that creates the desire in the first place. Now, that is true. Ultimately, spirituality for me will always be the center and the core. However, I'm willing to suffer to create the dream I want to dream. So it's like I don't like, yes, I can just meditate and awaken the dream and like shatter Maya the illusion, but I don't actually really want to, because I want to like pursue music and like I have desires in the world, so I don't want to just like meditate them away, you know what I mean? So spirituality for me is at the core, but I've made a distinction recently how I want to master the external world and myself, and I want to build myself up. Like, for example, like Alan Watts says, like, why is there this constant tick, like, I must change, I must develop myself, like, what is that? And I understand. And he says, for example, like, what's it called? I can't remember, but he's like, at last you realise you don't need to survive. And I get it, ultimately, and that's the ultimate truth. Like, if things get bad, then letting go and a meditation practice will be key, and I need to implement many of these things. Like, I'm not very on the ball at the minute, but I will be. I hope to be, and I hope to prove that to you, and you will recognise that within me. I'm gonna let my actions and my actual work I produce and my lifestyle speak for me more, because all I do is fucking talk, but I'm talking while I haven't got shit to back it up, really. So while Alan Watts is right that you don't need to personal develop and things like that, it's just like, it's a choice. I understand the spirituality shit at the core, but like, because the suffering is created by attachments. Like, I want to, like when I was losing my flat the time before, I was so attached to like, I don't want to lose the flat, and I knew it was all in the mind, but I don't want to just like deconstruct it, because it is like a valid thing to me, even though it's just an illusion and it doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know Leo Gura says there's value in pursuing desires, but that's what I'm saying anyway. I don't want to just like wait, because like Ramana Maharshi just sat in a cave forever and just let bugs like eat his body or something, apparently. Can't remember, and he was like, I'm not the body, and he just never exercised because he just said he wasn't the body. So that's not my approach. I now want to actually pursue something much more tangible, because you can take mushrooms and have an awakening and realise the true existential, but then it is something else to discipline every day consistently to build up your character. Anyway, I'm running out of storage as always. The main thing is focus on yourself. I'm going to focus on myself, and we're going to build each other up, and this is the main thing, just personal development. Anyway, I love you. I'm out of here.